Winter Survival is a great example of an early access game that has a decent base in terms of the core gameplay, but was released months earlier than it should have been, and the consequences of that are not only the bugs. When I first saw the game, this meme template popped into my head right away, but in reality the Long Dark and Winter Survival are quite different from one another in the way they make you feel, despite having similar gameplay. In Winter Survival, your character is physically and mentally weak, which is shown in both the story and the endless mode through something called sanity. I'll go deeper into this aspect later in the review. I was probably one of the first few people who bought this game on Steam after it was released, and I was unpleasantly surprised when I checked the page the next day and saw the mixed reviews, with some people even having game-breaking bugs that forced them to restart the story. I was lucky enough not to encounter any major bugs, so I was able to play through most of the story, but considering the reviews, your mileage may vary. The performance was decent, I didn't notice any drops below 60, the game has a great visuals and atmosphere, which is not surprising considering that this is an Unreal Engine 5 game. There are 3 modes, but only story and endless are currently unlocked, with one more called Cold Wave still in the works. The story was nothing special, only the first act is currently available with more acts coming, but I don't have high hopes for the future story updates. And I'm pretty sure most people who search for this type of game are not that interested in the story mode anyway. Currently the story is about an hour or so long. The thing that annoyed me the most was the way the playable character acted. Imagine you take someone with depression or just being emotionally unstable who has lived in a big city all his life and then throw him in a wolf-infested snowland. He acts like a teen who has zero idea what to do and easily panics. If there is a progression and later through the game he becomes better, it would be nice, but if the rest of the game is planned in this direction in terms of his state of mind, I'll most likely skip the story. One of the great things about The Long Dark, and from what I see about this game too, is that the more you know about the game mechanics and how it works, the more confident you will be in your ability to deal with challenging situations. It's not like you won't feel fear, but with time things usually get better. In other words, it will feel weird if I'm deep into the story and the character keeps acting weak. The main reason I stopped playing only after 4 hours was the amount of content currently in the game. For example, on the map there are large sections that are inaccessible, with invisible walls. You would see a structure in the distance, run towards it and hit a wall. One of the reasons I love The Long Dark so much and have spent hundreds of hours of playtime with it is how massive all the regions are. If you want to explore everything, you will have no other option but to spend hundreds of hours, and you have a great variety in the way you play it, depending on the regions you visit and the difficulty setting. So I wonder if Winter Survival will have other regions, or if it will be limited to what we currently can access, plus the currently locked sections. From the Steam page I can see that they plan to implement more gameplay mechanics and subsequent areas, but I guess we will see what the scale of those areas will be. The gameplay mechanics are pretty much what you can expect from a survival game set in winter setting. You have your usual cold, hunger, thirst and sleep to deal with. There is inventory management and crafting to explore. Crafting can be a bit confusing for some players, but if you have played similar games you should be fine. I guess one big plus this game has over The Long Dark is the ability to build living spaces. I didn't particularly like the combat since it's a bit clunky, and we definitely need more offensive tools in the future. At the moment you can throw spears, which do a laughable amount of damage. The better option is to use the spear to impale the animal, and the way this works depends on the difficulty you pick. You can also hunt using traps. One gameplay mechanic I'm not really a fan of is the sanity system, and I think this is a gameplay feature that people will either love or absolutely hate. The more time you spend being cold, hungry and thirsty, the more your trauma will increase, Once it reaches 100%, the next time you sleep, you have to deal with the consequences, which will impact you negatively in two ways. Either by adaptation disorder, which basically changes your skill tree in a negative way, or by symptoms that affect reality. Those are permanent despite the fact that they have some coping mechanisms. You can pick which symptoms you have, from blurring your X-ray vision to hallucinations where you see animals that are not actually there. The way I see it, the game has potential, but I'll wait until a decent check of new updates accumulates over time so that all the bugs are ironed out and new content is added before I can sink 30 to 50 hours and make a more in-depth review. Price-wise, I think that 25 euros is a bit too high. 20 or even 15 would have been a lot more reasonable, considering this is an early access game and you're basically their tester. I hope this review was useful. If you enjoyed it, drop a like, subscribe, and maybe even watch some of my other videos. Thanks for watching.